Om Sahana Vavatu Sahano Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvina Vaditamastu Ma Vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om, may the Divine Being look over us lovingly as a mother and father. May the Divine Being support and nourish us as a mother and father. May we have the strength and skill to study together the art of spirituality. May no misunderstandings arise amongst us. Om, peace, peace, peace and beneficence be unto us and to all beloved beings everywhere. So, welcome to our Tuesday evening reading and discussion of the life of Holy Mother, Sri Sarada Devi, as presented to us by Swami Chaitanananda in his book Sri Sarada Devi, Her Divine Play. Before we go ahead with tonight's reading, is there anything that needs to be addressed from last week or any other time that you'd like to bring up? All right, dears.
Brother Shankara.
Yes.
This is Jeff Solich.
Yes, Jeff.
And this is my first visit to this class.
Mm-hmm.
And that's because I'm kind of an OCD person.
Uh-huh.
So I do things by the book. So I had to go buy the book.
I see.
So now I have the book. I've read the first 5 chapters, and I can't put this book down.
Isn't it an amazing book?
The holiness is dripping off of every page.
Yes.
I'm just compelled to read this book. So I'm very happy.
I'm very glad you found it, Jeff, and I'm so glad you found us this evening. You will find this evening's reading, I'm sure we're well along in the book. I think we're on page 679.
679.
Wow. Okay.
We've been studying it for some time now. I don't even remember how long. But you'll catch up with us as you assimilate what Swami Chaitanananda presents of the Holy Mother.
So I have my work cut out for me, but I'm very happy to be here and a part of this group.
Thank you, Jeff. We're very, very glad to have you with us. And you'll find it's more play than work. All right, Haima, wherever on 679, Haima Didi, that you wish to start, please just go.
We actually stopped at we're supposed to start it apart from her life of renunciation. I could always go back one paragraph before that if you would like to.
No, that's fine. That's what I have, apart from her life of renunciation. Just what I have.
Okay, thank you, Brother Shankara. Good evening and namaste, everybody. Apart from her life of renunciation, she performed the duties of a wife and mother. Swami Nikhilananda wrote, Holy Mother, in a unique way, fulfilled the duties of wife, mother, and nun. There have been before in the world the ideal wife, the ideal mother, and the ideal nun, but a combination of the 3 in one person is rare indeed. Holy Mother was wedded to Sri Ramakrishna at the age of 5, lived with him as long as he lived, and ministered to his physical needs in the best tradition of a Hindu wife. She was his companion in spiritual life. She demonstrated that wifely devotion and love are possible without demanding physical satisfaction from one's mate. In spite of her marriage, she remained a nun, pure in body and mind. And in uninterrupted communion with God. Though she had no children of the flesh, she had many of the spirit. Like an earthly mother, she looked after her disciples' physical comfort. But unlike an earthly mother, she was totally unattached in her love and expected no return from it.
Let's just stop there. This is truly remarkable about Holy Mother. She never expected anything in return. No matter how much she gave, and she gave endlessly to individuals, to the Ramakrishna order. She was the real head of the Ramakrishna order while she was alive. Everyone in the order deferred to her, not just because she was Sri Ramakrishna's wife, but because of her own being, who she was. Vivekananda, Brahmananda, the two people who started and headed the order during their lifetimes, nominally, they both deferred to her, as did Saradananda, Premananda, Turiyananda, the others who so directly served the order. So when it's said that she was the ideal, well, of course, the ideal love, the love without limitation, the unconditional love, expects nothing in return. And this was embodied in Holy Mother. Any comments or questions from anyone about that aspect or anything else about what we've been talking? All right, Hamadidi, please move on.
Thank you, Brother Shankara. Truly, Sister Nivedita declared that Holy Mother was Sri Ramakrishna's last word on the ideal of Indian womanhood. But why of Indian womanhood alone? She can very well represent the universal ideal of womanhood.
Does that mean that all women should live like Holy Mother? You couldn't possibly. No ordinary embodied being, a jiva, could live like Holy Mother. So you shouldn't think, oh, I'm falling short of this ideal. No, that's not the point of an ideal. We live toward an ideal. If you start out to become a tennis champion, you're not going to be able to hit the ball where you want it to in the beginning. It'll take years and years. So an ideal is something that we live toward, and I mean live toward. This is the realm of action, as Sri Krishna says in the Gita. This is the karma bhumi. So it is always living these practices and principles. Any comment or question before we move on? All right, dears.
Thank you. Next subheading is Holy Mother's visit to a devotee's house. Holy Mother seldom visited her devotees in Calcutta. Instead, they came to see her in Udbodhan house. Holy Mother was very fond of Sarajubala Sen and her sister Sumati. One day, Sarajubala invited the mother to visit their Ballygunge residence in South Calcutta, and the mother accepted her invitation. Sarajubala's account reminds us of the story of Martha and Mary in the Bible. May 1914. The mother will come to our Ballygunge house today. We have been making preparations since yesterday. We bought a new carpet seat and a new set of white marble plates and bowls for her use. I could not sleep all night for joy, thinking of the mother's visit. It was arranged that she could come in the afternoon. In case she changes her mind, Shokaran, Sumati's husband, has gone to the mother's house at Bag Bazaar in the morning and is waiting there with the carriage. We also have finished our household work and made ourselves ready to receive her. I arranged the mother's carpet, placed flowers all around, sprinkled Ganges water in all the rooms and doorways, strung garlands of flowers, and placed 2 large bouquets on either side of the mother's seat. As the day advanced, we were waiting eagerly for the mother's arrival. Finally, the blessed moment arrived. Hearing the sound of the carriage, we all went downstairs. When the carriage stopped, I noticed the mother affectionately looking at us with a smiling face. As soon as she got down from the carriage, we rushed to take the dust off her feet. Golapma, Surabala, Nalini, Radhu, and 4 or 5 monks and brahmacharis came with the mother. We took the mother upstairs and bowed down to her. She inquired, "Have you all finished your meal?" I tried to be as quick as possible, but somehow could not manage to get here earlier than this. Saying so, she touched my chin and kissed her fingers.
This is the Bengali. Perhaps it's more widespread, but I know it's the Bengali way of delivering an affectionate kiss, is to touch the other person's chin and then kiss your fingers, so that you're taking the essence of the other person and saluting it with a kiss. It's a very touching way of delivering affection.
This is common in other parts of India too. Some of the places where I came from, it's common too, Brother Shankara.
I'm sure it must be.
Yes,
I just didn't know that. So
right.
I saw it in Bengal when I was there.
Yeah, exactly. I could not sit near her. I rushed to the kitchen to make the food ready. Most of the dishes were already prepared. They were playing a gramophone upstairs.
This was a brand new thing, by the way. Remember, this is 1914. The gramophone is brand new. It was such an innovation. People were just amazed. You know, they couldn't quite believe that it actually did what it did. So, okay, go ahead.
In between my various tasks, I went upstairs and found the mother extremely delighted to be listening to the songs on the gramophone. She exclaimed like a happy girl, "What a wonderful machine has been invented." It was a hot summer day. The mother lay down on a fine mat on the veranda, and others were seated around her. We served ice water in a stone bowl, and the mother sipped that cold water from time to time. Seeing me, she called, "My child, have a little ice water." I took some as her prasad and then ran back to the kitchen. Today I was trying to finish quickly, yet still could not get everything done. In the evening, all items of food were arranged in the adjacent room. The mother asked Golapma to offer the food to the master, but she replied, "Mother, you offer it. Why should I when you are present?" Then the mother sat on the asana to offer the food and commented, Ah, how beautifully all these dishes have been arranged. Thus she expressed her joy like a girl and filled our hearts with delight. After the food offering, the mother and others sat to have the prasad. The mother finished her supper first and then sat on a cane chair on the veranda. She called to me, "My child, give me a beetle roll." I was then serving food to Golapma and others. I hurriedly carried a beetle roll to her. I felt ashamed that she had to ask for it. I told Sumati, "Could you not wait with the beetle roll near the door? You see how busy I am." After a while, the mother went to the washroom downstairs and I accompanied her with the lamp. The garden in this part of the house is somewhat desolate. There were rows of crotons on either side of the pathway. The mother affectionately told me, "You could not find time to sit near me. Come to Udbodhan house soon and bring your mother as well." My mother came to visit me and she was fortunate that she saw Holy Mother at our home. It was time for the mother to depart. She was reluctant to ride in the motor car because once she went to attend the chariot festival at Mahesh, a dog was run over by the car. But Bagh Bazar was a long way off and it would be very late and uncomfortable unless they went by car. Finally, the mother agreed to the devotee's request to use the car. She bowed down to the master several times, blessed us, and then got into the car.
Now, the Swami remarks at the beginning of this that there's it reminded him of the story of Martha and Mary. The story of Martha and Mary in the Bible, Jesus once visited these two sisters' house. Martha and Mary were sisters. Mary, known as the beloved companion, sat by his feet, bathed his feet, anointed his head with oil, and did things in this affectionate way, while Martha was busy in the kitchen. And at one time, Martha came in and said, "Mary, what are you doing? Here I am busily working away in the kitchen all the time, and you're just in here idling away your time this way." And Jesus said to her, "Oh, Martha, no. Mary is doing the auspicious thing. While the bridegroom is present, the bridesmaids should be with the bridegroom." And so Mother was gently saying the same thing to her when she said, "Oh, you didn't have time to sit near me. Please come to my house with your mother so we'll have some time together." So she didn't remonstrate with her, and neither did Jesus remonstrate with Martha. She just said, "No, Mary's doing the right thing." So it's a fine line to walk, you know. How much do you devote to preparations, and how much time do you devote to just being with the Holy One who's in your presence? Before we move on to the next subhead, any thoughts or comments from your own wisdom or experience with these things?
Yes, Brother Shankara. I have
Yes.
one question.
Yes, Sean.
Did they, since the gramophone was there, did they record Holy Mother's voice anytime?
No, the gramophone, I don't believe, was ever used to record Holy Mother's voice. As far as I know, there is no recording of Mother's voice. I'm not sure that gramophone itself would have been capable of recording, although I don't know that. But it was playing songs. And one of the things, of course, that were played were the fun songs on these things. The records that were produced were not just of Indian singers and so on, but of like Gilbert and Sullivan and people of that kind. And so I don't know what the mother was listening to. It doesn't say explicitly, but there were many fun things. Operas, opera singers would record Caruso and so on. And so who knows what they were listening to, but as far as is known, no machine was ever used to record mother's voice. There was a wax cylinder machine that was used to record Swami Vivekananda's voice by the Maharaja of Khetri. But it was such an innovation in those days that no one thought to make a copy of it. No one thought that how highly prized it would be for us to have a recording of Swami Vivekananda's voice. So the very best modern digital technology has been used to try to recover something from that wax cylinder, but it was played so many times that there's not a trace left of Swamiji's voice on it. So I think that there must have been some significance to all of this, that we have images, we have photographs, we have very detailed recordings, as we're reading tonight, of what these divine beings said, but we don't actually have their voices. Those who know the mysteries of magic could probably tell us why that's important.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Anything
Brother
else?
Shankara?
Yes, dear.
The fine line between staying in the back to make the preparation and serving versus wanting to be in the presence.
Yes.
For me personally, I think it kind of from one stage goes to the other stage, and then it like kind of goes in waves. So initially, there's so much awe of the holy person that it's almost frightening is not the word, but overwhelming to be in their presence. So then rather stay in the back and serve. Then as we get closer and more comfortable, then I'd rather sit in the presence than in the back. Then I come more closer and I feel, okay, now I go back and serve. I feel close enough already, and then I come back.
So, dear, as suits your great and wonderful self, as pleases your great and wonderful self. But if your Guruji came to your home, he would hope, I can tell you, that you would remain together, rather than going away and this relates to that remark that these holy ones expect nothing from us. They do not expect us to be busy in the kitchen fixing them food. If I were to guess, I would say that the thought never crosses their mind. When it's time for the food, yes, okay, if the food was prepared beforehand, then you go away for a few moments and warm it up or whatever is necessary. But yes, I guess that's as best as I can put it.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. And I certainly understand what you said.
Brother Shankara, this is Jeff.
Yes, Jeff.
I was thinking that this story and also the Martha and Mary story could also be taken as symbolic of the fact that we have the choice in our day-to-day lives of being wrapped up in the busyness of it all or being in the presence.
Very good, Jeff. That's exactly right. That's exactly right. These acts of the divine ones, these holy ones, they're always full of deeper meaning. So you've hit a nail right on the head here. This isn't just something there and then with Martha and Mary or with Holy Mother and those people in these devotees' homes. We have that choice every moment. And the more we choose to be in the presence, which is a matter of recollectedness and our awareness, the better off we are. Even if other things seem to be being neglected. Sri Ramakrishna actually remarks on this in some detail in the Gospel when he talks about the nature of a sattvic devotee and how that sattvic devotee may seem like he's being indolent because he gets up late in the morning. Why? Because he's been making japam and meditating in the middle of the night. So he gets up later in the morning. And the house may not be tidy. It may be only a little unkempt. It may be a little unmaintained. It may not be as carefully maintained as that of a rajasic devotee. And he makes the contrast between a sattvic devotee and a rajasic devotee. So as I say, I think you hit a nail square on the head. These actions always point to something beyond what is just in that moment. Thank you, Jeff. Thank you, all of you. Anything else from anyone before we go on? Okay, Hamadidi, please read on.
Thank you, Brother Shankara. Next subheading is Holy Mother from different points of view. If a man loses a hand or a foot, or an eye or an ear, he can function without much difficulty. But his life stops if he loses his memory. Human beings live in this world with their memories of happiness and misery. Holy Mother's disciples and devotees left us their memories so we could visualize her life from different angles. Although these stories and episodes may seem small and insignificant to the general reader, they are extremely important and inspiring to her devoted children.
Which is exactly what Jeff was pointing to.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. We were not fortunate enough to live with her, but we can feel her presence by meditating on these incidents of her divine drama.
And please understand that this is a direct invitation from the Swami. We can be in her presence by holding her in our thoughts and our awareness. We can feel her presence. We can feel her presence. Now, there are many, many, many devotees who will tell you that they have had this experience, that they have felt not just her presence, but actually seen her. So this is not again, this is not an insignificant invitation from the Swami. When he says these incidents may seem insignificant, but they're not, because they give us a way to be in the presence of the mother by thinking about them. These incidents of her divine drama. Please, dear, go on.
Sarajabala recalled, I was not able to visit Holy Mother for some days on account of the pressure of my school duties. No sooner had I saluted her today than she began to show her love for me in countless ways. Budeb, mother's nephew, was reading the Mahabharata. He was a mere boy and therefore could not read fluently. The mother also had her other duties to attend to. It was almost evening. She said to Budeb, pointing to me, give her the book. She will read it quite easily. The reading cannot be stopped without finishing this chapter. It was her order, so I began to read the Mahabharata. Never before had I read a book in her presence. At first, I felt a sort of shyness, but somehow I finished the chapter.
Doesn't that just reflect what Swayam was talking about just a few moments ago? Exactly that. At first, I felt a little shyness in her presence, but somehow I finished the chapter.
The mother saluted the book with folded hands. We then went to the shrine to witness the evening worship. The mother took her seat and soon became absorbed in meditation. A devotee of the master, Tesh Chandra, and his wife often visited the Holy Mother at Udbodhan house, and she was very fond of them. Tesh Chandra died on 16 September 1912. Holy Mother told the following story about him. He who eagerly prays to God will see him. The other day, Tesh Chandra passed away. What a sincere soul he was. The master used to frequent his house. Someone had deposited 200 rupees with Tesh Chandra. One day he was robbed of that amount by a pickpocket in the tram car. He discovered the loss after some time and suffered terrible mental agony. He came to the bank of the Ganges and prayed to the master with the tears in his eyes. "O Lord, what have you done to me?" He was not rich enough to make up that amount from his own pocket. As he was thus weeping, he saw the master appear before him and say, "Why do you weep so bitterly? The money is there under a brick on the bank of the Ganges." Amazing. Tesh Chandra quickly removed the brick and really found there a bundle of banknotes. Wow. He narrated the incident to Sharat, Swami Saradananda. Sharat said, "You are fortunate to get the vision of the master even now."
Now, this is, of course, after the master had left the body. So this is a direct gesture to us, an invitation to us to take our problems and our issues to the master. And what was Tejandra's question? "O master, what have you done to me? Everything is the master's doing. O master, what have you done to me?" Now, can we say that everything will be remedied as easily as Tejandra's issue was? Well, of course not. But do not think that this sincere prayer and sincere heart will not be answered by the Divine One. It's just as clear as day. in all of the teachings of all of the incarnations. Any comments or questions from anyone?
Brother Shankara, I liked Sharad's comments. You are lucky to have the vision of the master even now. Forget the finding the $200 or 200 rupees. I mean, he didn't.
Yes.
He
Yes, that was incidental as far as Sharad was concerned. You're absolutely right, dear. That was just the master's grace. 200 rupees, by the way, in those days was a lot of money.
Yes.
A lot of money. So anything else from anyone? Thank you, Swayam. All right, dear, please read on.
Swami Arupananda recalled how the mother served her disciples. I had a severe headache. I went to the mother's room in the afternoon and told her about it. She said it is probably due to the heat. She then mixed some ghee and camphor and, making a paste of it, applied it to my forehead with a gentle massage. Whenever the master had a headache, he applied this medicine, she said. I started feeling a little better after a few minutes of massage and came downstairs. After some time, the headache really disappeared. I went and told the mother, "The headache is hardly there, mother." In November 1908, a devotee went to Jairambati for initiation. Afterward, he and some other devotees went to visit Kamarpakur. Unfortunately, this devotee had a heated exchange with the Swami there. On his return to Jairambati, Holy Mother's brother Barada reported this to her. She cautioned the devotee, "Know that one has to be careful about these three things. First, a house situated on the bank of a river. At any time, the river may destroy the house and sweep it away. Second, a snake. You must be very careful when you see one, for there is no knowing when it will bite you. Third, a monk. One word or thought from a monk may do harm to a householder. When you see a monk, you should show him respect. You should not slight him with disrespectful words."
Now, let me tell you how profoundly this comes forward into a personal experience here. At one time in Hollywood, some very senior devotees who were serving on the board of trustees of the Vedanta Society of Southern California became very upset with Swami Swahananda, and they did not like what he was doing. They felt it was totally wrong. So they were abusing him and threatening him. And the Swami, I asked him about this, and he said, "Oh, they are just trying to scare the Swami." And then he remarked, "I have to be very careful in how I think about this, because I could harm them by my thoughts." And so he discriminated against any response that would be angry or in retribution for what they were doing. And eventually, this crisis subsided. And both those trustees, he did not try to remove them from the board, though he could have. the Swami could have. He did not try to remove them from the board, no retribution. And their abuse of him stopped. But this is not these three things that the mother is speaking of. Could you read that again, the three things,
Yes,
please?
I was going to read that, Brother Shankara. Thank you. In November 1908, a devotee went to Jairampati for initiation. Afterward, he and some other devotees went to visit Kamarpuku. Unfortunately, this devotee had a heated exchange with the Swami there. On his return to Jairampati, Holy Mother's brother Barada reported this to her. She cautioned the devotee, know that one has to be careful about these three things. First, a house situated on the bank of a river. At any time, the river may destroy the house and sweep it away. Second, a snake. You must be very careful when you see one, for there is no knowing when it will bite you. Third, a monk. One word or thought from a monk may do harm to a householder. When you see a monk, you should show him respect. You should not slight him with the disrespectful words.
Now, as was pointed out earlier, these things that the mother is talking about have symbolic as well as literal meaning. A house on a riverbank, a snake. These words of disrespect to someone who can do you harm if their temper gets away. So this is worth taking into your thoughts and contemplating on what it means, what the symbolic meaning is of building a house or having a house on a riverbank, and what the symbolic meaning of the snake is. And what the symbolic meaning is of these words about being disrespectful to someone who can harm you. Any comments, any wisdom from any of you about these things, or any concerns or questions that you'd like to raise?
It's very true, Brother Shankara. If we live near the water, especially in India, snakes do come into the houses. And if it's houses built near the Ganges, things like that, they have not like a concrete houses or brick houses. So those do get wiped off with it.
Of course.
What mother said is exactly, everything is literally, she's true. All three of them.
Yes, oh yes, of
Extremely
course.
true. Yeah, we have always seen snakes near wherever there is nearby rivers or, in the houses. So that was very common.
This is,
She was
of
right.
course, what she said would have to be literally true as well. But I'm suggesting that, as Jeff pointed out earlier, often these things have a deeper and symbolic meaning.
Definitely.
And so I'm suggesting that this is something. And it isn't that there's a right answer.
Sure.
It's just like a koan. There is no right answer to a koan. You are an infinite being, full of infinite wisdom. And so if you take this into contemplation, concentration, and focus your awareness on these things, and see what emerges from your witness consciousness, what each of us might find will be representative of our own being and our own condition. So it isn't like I'm not suggesting that this is like the answers to a crossword puzzle. No, there's something here for each of us. But as the Swami said at the beginning of this, these may seem like insignificant things, but they have deep meaning. So, any other comments or questions from anyone?
Brother Shankara, as
Yes, Swami.
I was contemplating, I could come to some symbolic meaning for myself with the snake and the disrespect, but I could not think of anything of the house on the river. I guess I have to contemplate more on that.
Well, there's a Christian parallel. Not to build your house on sand. Not to build your house on sand, because the sand may shift and the house will fall. We need to be careful about constructing our, this is just a response from here. I'm not saying this is the right answer. It just sounds to me like she's saying you have to be careful how you construct the things of your life and not put them in perilous situations. For example, there are people who think that they can make money in the stock market. They think that they can be day traders, and so they risk their money. Almost all of them lose it. Why? Because they're competing, sitting at their home computer, being a day trader with this money that they're risking. They're competing with systems that make decisions in a billionth of a second. Computer systems that make decisions in a billionth of a second. So how can you respond as quickly as that river of intention that is coming from these other people who are trading in stocks, but use these systems? They set up algorithms and so on. So that's just one thing that comes to mind. So just not to try and build your house in a place that is fraught with danger. Anything else from anyone? Thank you, Swayam, for bringing that up.
Namaste, everybody.
Yes, Shailesh.
I would like to share an incident about the dealing with monks, and there is a reason I would like to share. This was long time back. I was volunteering at a center, Pune center, and in India we collect all the twigs and the dry leaves and whatnot, and then you set fire to it. So that's what my job was, and that's what I did. And right next to it, a little bit further, I mean, not very close, and I think I may have shared this before. One of the oldest monks, he had put his clothes to dry, and he suddenly came out and he said, don't put this fire here, because the fire was already gone and it was already on, and I had lit the fire and everything. And this was at the back of the center, so it was just me and him. And he said, oh, just remove it. And I said, no, Maharaj, don't worry, nothing will happen. I'm standing right here, and the wind is on that side. And, I was 19 and he was 75, 76, very old. But that's how it is, and he got suddenly very angry. And he said, are you arguing with a monk? And I suddenly took a back step and I said, no, Maharaj, I will put it off. And then I put it off and I walked up. So my point is that most of the time people like us, and most of us, we are used to think very casually, in a sense. Monks are very disciplined in their life and approach, and they do not take risk and things like that. Like Sri Ramakrishna said, if you are a monk, don't even look at a picture of a woman. Just it doesn't mean that you look at a woman's picture and you are done. But it's a cautious approach, and that's how you have to deal with it, and that's how they do it. And so being very casual sometimes it's not a way to deal with monks. That's what I learned very early. And so that's what I would like to share, is that whenever we are around, when I recently went to Belur Math, you just don't say anything. You talk very little and communicate least, and very, very respectful. And I have experienced this here also when there are some visiting monks. You just cannot be casual with monks unless they are, and then you're very cautious approach. It's not done. It doesn't happen. All these arguments do not happen purposefully, that people want to, but it may happen, but you have to be careful. I learned it very early. Thank you.
Thank you for sharing, Shailesh, as always. Very instructive, and your personal recollections are always very applicable to what we're talking about. Anything else from anyone? And what Shailesh finished with, that we can follow the lead of the person to whom we're offering our respect. If they're casual, then we can be more friendly and casual in their presence rather than formal. And of course, there is no dogma about this. There's just Mother's cautionary words. And as Shailesh pointed out, the cautionary words of the Master. We just have to be, we have, just that. We don't need to elaborate on it. Anything else before Haima reads on? Okay, dear, please read on.
These valuable words of the mother guided the devotee all through his life. It is said that only a good student can be a good teacher, and a good teacher learns continuously, so his or her teachings remain always fresh. Very true, Brother Shankara.
Yes.
Ramakrishna said, as long as I live, so long do I learn. Sarasubala recorded how Holy Mother learned various things in her village. Regarding creation, one night the mother said, in the beginning of creation, the Creator made human beings with the quality of sattva. As a result, they were born with divine knowledge. In no time, they understood that the world was not real. So they immediately renounced the world and followed the path of God realization. They practiced severe austerities, attained liberation, and merged into the divine. The Creator then found that the purpose of his creation had not been realized. Those wise ones were unfit to continue the play in the world. So the Creator added rajas and tamas to sattva and created human beings with those three qualities. Thus, his play in the world continued nicely. Then she cited a beautiful rhyme regarding creation. She continued, my daughter, in our youth, we learned so many wonderful things from seeing the yatras, dramas, and listening to the narrators of mythological stories. Nowadays, we seldom hear those things. Very true.
Well, this story that the mother told, she told it in more than one context. And in another context, she talked about the first time that Brahma created, the God created the universe. He endowed human beings only with goodness. This is sattva. And then as the story goes, that didn't work because people saw through the charade of limitation. And so they then, the universe collapsed. Now it was Brahma's task to create a universe that sustained itself, so that Vishnu and Shiva would have their jobs to do as well. And so then she said, the second time that Brahma, God, created the universe, he endowed human beings not only with goodness, but profuse quantities of materialism, tamas, and vanity, rajas. And then the game could go on with a swing. These are her words. We were endowed not only with goodness. So each of us sitting here, this is the universe that we were given to be a part of. Now, what is the deep lesson in all of this? Be like those first beings. Oh, wait a minute. I have the revealing power of sattva to tell me the truth about things. So I can renounce limitation. I can renounce limitation and be free. And as Swami Vivekananda points out, then your universe comes to an end. Because when you renounce tamas and rajas, the thought waves in the mind subside. There's no longer the problem of attraction and aversion and desire, all of the other aspects of this mind that we have. Any comments or questions about all that? Because this is a very pregnant story that the mother told. Okay. Well, we have just a few minutes left, just 3 minutes.
Do you want to read this
You want
one
to
more time? Can I read this paragraph one more time, Brother
Please,
Shankara, and stop there?
Please do.
It's a very profound one. Regarding creation, one night the mother said, in the beginning of creation, the Creator made human beings with the quality of sattva. As a result, they were born with divine knowledge. In no time, they understood that the world was not real. So they immediately renounced the world and followed the path of God realization. They practiced severe austerities, attained liberation, and merged into the divine. The Creator then found that the purpose of his creation had not been realized. Those wise ones were unfit to continue and play in the world. So the Creator added rajas and tamas to sattva and created human beings with those three qualities. Thus, his play in the world continued nicely. Then she cited a beautiful rhyme regarding creation. She continued, my daughter, in our youth, we learned so many wonderful things from seeing the yatras, dramas, and listening to the narrators of mythological stories. Nowadays, we seldom hear those things. I'll stop here, Brother Shankara, since time is up.
Yep.
Only one more minute.
Any final thought from your own wisdom or experience, or comment or a concern or question about any of this? All right, dears. Om Hari Om. Om Asato Ma Satkamaya. Tamaso Ma Jyotirgamaya. Mrityorma Amrutangamaya. Abir Moiti. Oh, dearly beloved, lead us from this realm of endless noise and confusion to thine abode of silence, serenity, clarity, and peace. Lead us from darkness to light. Lead us from darkness and ignorance to the brilliance of thy wisdom and love. Lead us from death to immortality. Light us through and through. Light us through and through with thy everlasting, shining presence. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Peace, peace, peace and beneficence be unto us and to all beloved beings everywhere. Jai Shri Guru Maharaj Ji Ki Jai. Durga, Durga, Durga. May we be safe. May we be healthy. May we be cheerful. May we have peace of mind. And may we go forward in the loving and protective embrace of the Divine Being as our Mother and Father. So until tomorrow evening, when if you choose to join us, we'll read and discuss Swami Ranganathananda's book, Divine Grace, and hear him make the case that to be fully human is to be fully divine. And then on Saturday, of course, we'll talk about Swami Prabhavananda's translation of and commentary on Patanjali's Yoga Sutras, which he published under the title How to Know God. It's a workbook, that's why he titled it that way. And then on Sunday, we didn't finish the discussion of Sankhya, the 24 cosmic principles, and that which produces them, the gunas, last Sunday. So we're going to spend the time this coming Sunday morning talking about the three gunas, that which is responsible, it is said, in Sankhya, and it's pretty well accepted throughout Sanatana Dharma, that the gunas are that which produces all that we experience. So any final thought from anyone?
Brother Shankara,
Yes, dear.
I have a question, but that may be a whole different topic for conversation or maybe a talk. What's the difference, if any, between scripture and mythological literature, and what categorizes something into a scripture versus a mythological literature?
Okay, dear, rather than go into that now and keep everyone, let me ask you to give me a call and we'll discuss that. But the short answer is scripture is that which has been heard, shruti, heard in the depths of meditation and then related, as it is said to be true of the Vedas, as it is said to be true of the 5 books of Moses, which are the Torah, and so on. Then there is the category of smriti. Smriti in Sanskrit means that which is remembered. The Mahabharata, the Bhagavad Gita, which is part of Mahabharata, the Ramayana, and so on, the Puranas. These are all smriti, that which is remembered. Then mythology is that which is a commonly shared belief. Oftentimes mythology and superstition overlap, and this is one of the pet peeves of Swami Vivekananda, how people confused in this realm of confusion, how people confused superstition with the truths that are embedded in mythology, that is to say, commonly shared beliefs that have some basis in fact. So that's as close as I can come. If you want to discuss it any further, you can give me a call, please, on the cell phone, and we'll discuss it.
Thank you, Brother Shankara, but that brief thing was also very beneficial to me. But yeah, we
Good,
will.
good.
I will call you too, or visit you.
Shruti is the most respected of the categories. Anything else before we move on? All right, dears. So good to have been with you this evening. As always, this is joyous and very, very uplifting. Any final thought, comment, question from anyone? Well, thank you for being with us.
A big
Until-
thank you from Tallahassee.
All right, Jeffrey, you're most welcome, dear. Most welcome. And a big thank you from here for all of you being with us. From Tallahassee, from Denver, from wherever you are. So, good night.
Good night.
Night.